Okay guys, we're gonna do the 10 easiest mini ramp tricks that we can possibly think of, and we're gonna try to teach you how to do them.
The first trick is pumping in the transition, where you just literally ride back and forth on your ramp. You should spend a lot of time just getting used to pumping back and forth on the ramp. I definitely did, because it gets your confidence up to actually finally do the drop-in. To continue your propel up and down the ramp, you have to use your arms, your entire body to get up and down so you don't lose momentum. The difference between just riding on the ramp and pumping is that when you pump, you'll actually make it so you can keep going forever. But when you just ride, you're gonna slow down. But if I use my arms and my entire body, I can propel myself forward, thus go for days. When you ride up the ramp, instead of just keeping your body straight and just like trying to balance, you have to use your entire body. And when you go up the ramp, you want to extend your body, and when you come down, you want to push against it kind of so you can propel it backwards. And that's how you can keep going forever. The best way to learn is by doing, and basically you just got to keep practicing going back and forth and just change up your technique until you feel like you just can keep going forever. Spend hours at that mini ramp just back and forth. The second trick is the kick turn, and basically is when you go up the ramp and you turn your body and yourself 180. The way you want to learn it to start is on flat. You're flat and then you just go. Oh, yeah. When you do the kick turn on flat, you're kind of doing a little manual. You want to just get comfortable riding, of course, but you also want to get comfortable literally just tic-tacking, because when you get the tic-tac, then the next step is the kick turn, and it'll come a lot easier because you're used to manuing a little. So just. Yep. Once you get on flat, you can take it to the mini ramp. The kick turn is a fundamental trick, and basically you really need to get the kick turn down because it's one of those tricks that really is a foundation to all mini ramp skating. You take your board and you put it where your tail is right on the coping. Put your back foot on first, whichever way your foot forward, if you're goofy or regular. Then you put your front foot here. Try to keep it even on the bolts, and then you just apply pressure down. Go with the ramp.
It's always important to actually try and get your front wheels into the ramp as soon as possible.
Since this is probably the first trick you're gonna be doing on a mini ramp, for me it was definitely the scariest. You have to be careful, and I actually recommend a helmet because a lot of people will just go for it because it seems easy, but you gotta make sure that you're ready to do this. You should be comfortable riding your board and even riding up ramps a little bit. The most common problem is leaning back. You gotta do the opposite. You would rather fall forward than you would wanna fall backwards. Make sure you stomp hard. Keep your foot on. If you take your foot off, that's also a big no-no because it's really dangerous. So you gotta keep your feet on, commit, and it'll be fun when you land it.
If I can do it, you can do it.
When you learn to drop in, you want to take it on the smallest obstacle you can. I even started on a curve. You build up confidence and you go from 3 foot to a 4 foot. The fourth trick is a rock to fakie. After you drop in, you're gonna hit the next side and you're gonna have to learn how to rock to fakie. The number one trick you need to practice to do this trick is definitely how to pump, because you're gonna be coming back switch or fakie. That's why it's called a rock fakie. When you come up the transition, you're gonna lift up a little bit just so it gets over. You're gonna rock and then you're gonna pull it back in. I would say there's 2 ways how to do a rock to fakie, and the first way, how I just showed you, is that you just barely put it over, and that's how I first learned it, especially because it's less scary. Once you get that really comfortable, then you'll really learn how to deck it and do a proper rock to fakie, like onto the deck platform. Because when you're right here, you're basically in the ramp and you haven't decked it.
Some of the common problems you can have with this trick are hooking your truck on there and falling to the bottom of the ramp, or not committing. That's why you don't want to hook, because you fall down. You want to really make sure when you're coming back down to get like a good manual, you know. Make sure your front truck clears it and you're good. Next problem. I leaned way too far forward and I didn't take my skateboard with me. If you don't want to slip out, you need to kind of fall back in with the board, you know, lean back as you're coming back in. You don't want to be too far over your front truck.
The fifth trick is a slash grind, otherwise known as the kick turn on the coping. And literally just do a kick turn, just get your back truck on.
Some things you want to avoid with this trick is getting too much speed and actually like falling over the deck. When you're going too fast, you can actually miss the bar and kind of go over like that. So you want to make sure you maintain the right speed. Another thing you want to avoid is actually when you come back in, if you get your truck on too much, you have a chance of actually hooking your truck as you come back in like that. Your body will go without your board. You want to maintain the correct speed and kind of just get like the back part of your truck on there as you turn. When learning this trick, all you gotta do is, you know, master your kick turns. It can be scary to get into this trick, but all you gotta do is just try and go a little bit higher and higher each time, and eventually you'll be hitting the pole.
Number 6, my favorite trick to listen to, it's rock and roll. Like your rock to fakie, you're gonna come up manual a little bit over, but this time instead of coming fakie, you're gonna turn it all the way around and go back in.
Okay, so you get into the rock. And once you're here, you kind of have to turn your upper body so that way your lower body will lead and follow you. Really, the biggest thing you want to do is use your shoulders. That's the main thing that's going to help your body turn. Common mistakes with this one are, once again, not putting enough manual into it and actually hooking your truck. That's like most tricks on here. You don't want to hook. You always want to avoid that. Also, not getting enough rotation / pivot back in. So you always want to make sure that you're going to get that full rotation. Use your shoulders.
The 7th trick is the fakie tail stall, and basically this is the trick where you're going fakie and you go up to the ramp and you go back into like a drop in. As long as you got your pumping down, that's all you really need. You just need to be able to propel yourself so you can actually get to the coping. A good way to practice this trick, especially how I did it when I was first learning, is to start really low and just go up, tap on this and go back down, because then you get the feeling, and then you'll just go progressively higher until you feel comfortable enough to go all the way. When I first learned, start just by pumping and doing it. When you first learn it, you'll probably be doing a tail tap, and basically it's the same thing except you don't really hold it. So you literally would just go up, like just a tap, you know? When you really learn how to tail tap, you'll eventually learn how you can just stall up there. Stall. A couple things that could go wrong. When you go up to the coping, if you don't press hard enough down on the tail, you might lock into like a switch rock to fakie, and you don't want to do that. Sometimes you won't be high enough, so you'll miss it. Sometimes you'll be doing a tail stall a little early, and you'll hit the coping, and your foot will land here, and this foot will land there, and you might do the splits. Another one is, if you don't go up perfectly, like perpendicular to the coping, you might actually lock in the truck, which might be a cool experience or a bad experience, depending on the experience. When you do a tail stall, you'll really feel it. You'll be like, okay, that fits perfectly. Again, practicing is the best way to learn all these tricks. You just gotta do it continuously and keep trying until you get it. Trick number 8 is fakie rock. You'll turn, put it up here, and then pop it back in. One of the reasons this is a really good trick to know is because if you don't like doing tail stalls, you can continue to do rock to fakies, basically, in a sense that you can rock to fakie on one side, come back, turn, rock fakie again, and just keep turning and turning and turning. Before you even attempt to do this trick, I recommend that you do it on flat. So you should be rolling fakie and just do a kick turn. Once you got that down and tricks we've done throughout this entire video so far, then you can take it to the ramp. This trick is actually really tough. It was hard for me to learn. I think a lot of you out there might have troubles. A very common mistake is when you come up fakie, you'll actually hit your tail when you're trying to kick turn it to rock it. The way you can prevent that is by just trying to keep the manual without touching, and so you can get a clean turn onto the deck. Sometimes you might have trouble actually getting your board up there because you might get stopped by the coping. And the only way you can really prevent that from happening is by manualing a little bit harder so you can really lift it above it. Of course, you really need to get your rock to fakies down. If you can't rock to fakie, you should go back, do that first, and then come back to this trick. This trick is all about timing. You really need to find that perfect manual balance, the perfect turn, and balance overall. Just practice. This one is not going to be first try. Just got to be persistent and keep trying this trick until you get it. The 9th trick is the feeble. You're going to have to use all the skills you've acquired from this entire tutorial. You're going to try to get up, get that back truck on right here. See, right on that side, right there. And then put that other truck right up there. And you find that perfect sweet spot where you're just chilling on it. After that, you got to like lift up over the bar, right back in.
All right, so with this trick, there's actually like 2 different ways you can do it. One way is you can be kind of like sideways on it. I'll show you. Literally hanging on with that wheel and this front wheel. The other way is, it might be easier for some of you guys to do it this way, but you actually get most of your board on top of the deck. So you come up and you're like fully on like that. What's nice about this is you can actually hold your balance a lot easier if you're not comfortable with this trick yet. But before you go back in, you actually want to slide your back truck against the wheel right here on this back side right here. Because if you do that, you'll actually avoid getting hooked on the deck. All right, so notice how now that I'm here, slide in, get that wheel locked in, and then go in.
The biggest problem with this trick, one of the reasons you wouldn't land it is because you're not committing. And it really is that once you start to learn how to lock in, it comes down to the fear factor, and you really just kind of have to just go for it, you know? Go fast and commit.
It's a really simple trick once you are comfortable with locking in every time.
Guys, I can't wait to bathe myself in the pizza sauce. After we finish trick number 10, the axle stall. Sounds scary. It's not that scary. If you got the feeble, you got all the tricks we've already done, you can get this one, no problem. This maneuver requires a lot of the tricks we've done before, but especially the feeble. It might sound scary, but some people actually learn this before the feeble, or vice versa. Basically, you just gotta do what feels comfortable. For me, it was definitely the axle stall because the feeble just felt like I was off balance. But with the axle stall, you really can stall up there, wait, and think about actually going in. There's multiple ways how you can lock in your trucks. I did it both ways when I was riding. Sometimes your front truck will be all the way on the coping like this, but sometimes it'll be right here. But your back truck should always be the very least on the coping as possible. That way you won't hang up as much. When you first learn it, you might land on the deck and you might tic-tac your way back onto the coping, and that's fine. It's just how you learn. You can drop back in like this with the back truck, but I recommend here because there's less chance of you hanging up. This is one of the common mistakes when you're first learning it, which is not a bad thing to do. You might end up riding on the deck, and the way you can fix that is sometimes you might be going actually too fast for this trick. You really just need to focus on keeping your trucks on the coping. Try to keep your balance in like body posture as much as you can on top of it, because if you're leaning back, then you're gonna fall and have your board go off the ramp. You just want to find that perfect balance. When I first learned it, I actually learned how to just axle stall drop in first. Some people might find this really scary, but it's a good practice step if you don't feel like riding into it. So from here you just...
Your back truck is really the foundation of the trick because that's where it all starts. You start with the pivot on the back truck and then you kind of like guide your front truck to the coping. I went too fast, I couldn't get my back truck locked in, and then that ruins the rest of the trick. It's good to get that proper speed. As you saw there, I didn't get enough speed, so the back truck didn't hit, and then the rest of the trick just kind of went down the toilet. So get that sweet spot with the speed, use your back truck to guide the front truck. It's like a two-step process, and then once you're on there, just pull back in. Practice, 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 that's all it is. For me personally, once I'm on, even if you don't get on like this, if you get on like this, it's good to slide your backside up, your back truck up there to the wheel, and then pull in. So I got on all the way. Now all you gotta do is slide your back truck up over like that, and then you go in.
That's why I can't do that. I'm not even kidding, I can't do that.
Okay, that was 10 easy tricks on the mini ramp. Some of them were pretty difficult, but we built it up. Hopefully this helps you guys. Huge thanks to Kelly and Chris. These guys are some of the best mini ramp skaters in the Braille crew, so it's awesome to have them here. Follow them on their respective social media in the description below. And if you guys enjoyed this, leave us a comment, let us know what you thought, and what else do you want to learn? We would love to make more tutorials like this. So definitely leave your feedback in the comments below. Thank you so much. Subscribe, like, and we'll see you next time.
This video has taught tens of thousands of people all over the world the basics of skateboarding. And we're so excited about the release of the Braille University that we are giving this away absolutely free. All you have to do is go to the link in the description below and pay for the shipping, and we will pay for the DVDs. These are flying off the shelves. Literally flying off the shelves. Definitely check out Skateboarding Made Simple. It's available on all these platforms, iBooks, BrailleSkateboarding.com, and Google Play. It's the most comprehensive video we've ever made, and it teaches skateboarding better than anything else out there. You won't be disappointed.